We must believe that things end, things end at the right time. Things end, things end in due time. This time, it will be my time, yeah. In due time, in my time. I'm so glad that it's my time. Just trying to do it with God in mind, you know? Just trying to do it with God in mind. What is up, you guys? Good morning, good evening, I forgot afternoon, good night, wherever you are in the world. Welcome. I'm your host, Stefan. This is the BIYG podcast. Believe in your growth. And I don't know if I should be putting this under the entity of BIYG, because this really genuinely, this is just like my diary season, like me just expressing myself, like, you know, because I think it's important for us to be able to express ourselves and to be able to talk about our emotions and our feelings. And you know, I stand by this heavily. You know, if there's one person who don't care, go to the next person. There's a Bible verse that says it is better to find um a friend who is near than a brother who is far. It's something like that. It insinuates, don't discount your neighbors. Don't and for me, it says basically, don't discount the people near you. Be willing to let someone know the trouble that you're going through, you know, because the people in your life, you know, the people that you hold dear, a lot of times, sometimes they may not be available for you. But don't look past those who are closest to you. Even though you may not know them, you might see a stranger and you might just need a hug, or you just might need someone to listen. You know, just speak. Open your mouth and speak. And I want people to really understand that, you know, your words are important. You know, your life is important, and you deserve to be heard, and you deserve to be listened to, and, you know, encouraged. And so you know, for me, I think that about others because I believe that heavily for myself. One thing I also really genuinely hold true is treat yourself how you want, well, treat others how you treat yourself and how you want to be treated. And you know, I think with that being in the core of our being, it provokes and it causes us to just be better people, you know. Just be more loving and compassionate and kind and patient, you know, as much as possible. Sometimes, you know, we have our moments, and we're human, and we have flare-ups of anger or whatever. And I mean, even anger in itself is not a bad thing. I think, you know, don't allow it to cause you to sin. Don't allow it to cause you to hurt someone. Don't allow it to, you know, to cause you to do something that is, you know, wicked. But being angry for the right reasons, a lot of times it's okay. It's okay. And so really, that's what this moment is. It's just my diary. And for me to be able to look back and be able to process, you know, how God brought me through it all, and really genuinely how graceful I was through the moment. I'm very proud of me. You know, one thing that I believe and I love to how do you say, I guess, emphasize, is that people deserve to be honored, celebrated. You know, especially for those who decide to collaborate with God and use their gifts, skills, talents, and or abilities. They deserve to be honored, because it is a hard thing. You know, I was just talking about this earlier, but like people are now beginning to say, don't applaud a fish for swimming. And I kind of agree with that, because there are things that you should be doing that you shouldn't have to be told to do. But even then, you have to realize, you know, in the context of a fish, their life, you know, is only consisted of basically two things: swimming and eating and pooping. I mean, there's a lot, but basically that's all they do is swim or become food for us. You get what I'm saying? So they're trying to survive, basically. But we as human beings, we have a little bit more complex. Yeah, our life is more complex than that. So it's not as simple as, oh, you do this and you don't deserve to be celebrated because you did that one thing. No, people have so many gifts, skills, talents, and abilities. We should be looking to encourage each other to keep going every day. I don't know what emotions God gave fish or God gave animals. Like, I don't know in depth, but I do know as a human being what I feel. And so I can imagine what other people feel, as they go through and as they journey, you know, in and out of their seasons and in and out of their tribulations or their successes. It's just like I try to empathize. Is that how you say it? Sympathize with that. Even with the moments that I have never encountered. You want to be there for people and understand. I could too get there one day, and sometimes that there is bad. Sometimes that there is abundantly good, but you always want to just have this grace in your heart to be like, yo, you know life can go any kind of way, any kind of way. So let's be here for each other and let's support each other. Um, and so, I don't think it's just as simple as don't applaud, a fish for swimming, No, sometimes you just have to, because a lot of people can just choose to die. A lot of fish could just lay there and die, but they don't have the encoding that we do. Animals don't have the innate instinct like we do. Well, or I wouldn't say instinct, but how do you say it? Like, I don't know. I honestly don't know. I didn't make animals. God did. So maybe there are animals who have this higher level of thinking. They say dolphins do. They say primates like monkeys. I don't know if we're primates actually, but point is, I don't know why I went on that long spiel. Maybe someone needed to hear it. Maybe I needed to hear it. But I love me, and I hope anyone listening to this feels the same. Love who you are, and I mean, especially in Christ. I don't Nowadays I don't spend a lot of times looking at what's wrong with me, but that doesn't mean that I ignore or I participate actively in sins or things that or that are deemed wicked, but I realized the other day, I spent a lot of time praying for what I didn't want and saying what I don't want. And I never really was filling in the blank and in the gap for what I wanted, what I was expecting, what I would like to see. And then, I mean, in turn, simultaneously asking God to deliver these things into my life. But now I'm really focusing on that. I'm focusing more on what I want, and I'm fine tuning my words, thankfully with the Spirit of God being very intuitive and very distinctive with what I desire, and very clear and concise with the way I want it to come or the way I want it to transpire, but also being open to the will of God happening. Because a lot of times we may want it to come one way, but God is like, well, let me do it another way. Let me show you this and that and that. And you just have to be open to it. And it's just like being like water, just flowing. Just go with the flow of everything. Don't lay there and die, but go with the flow of it. Like when life gives you lemons, like they used to say, make lemonade. And I don't know, it's just go with the flow, and that's really where I am. I'm always been about peace, being peaceful, and just being as poised, even though I guess that's more of a term that's used for women, but I don't care. I think it's important that men know how to hold themselves with grace and carry themselves elegantly in a how do you say it? Like let's compare Jesus. I'll bring this in too, right? There's a lot of questions to what do people perceive a man to be? And my honest to God answer is, well, I've never seen one, but I've heard of one, and his name is Jesus. This man, was very gentle. This man was very, you know, very enforced. It's like knew how to enforce his authority without oppressing people, knew how to be a king without, I don't know, making other people feel low. And it was such a humbling thing. When I think of Jesus, I think of a real man. I also think of okay, the being as wise as a serpent and as gentle as a dove. I know a lot of people have their idea of what a man is, but I don't know. I think if you really want to know what a man is, look at the ways of Christ. Look at the ways of Jesus, and you will understand, it's I don't know, it's not as complicated as people think. One of the greatest things Jesus did, and he said the greatest kind of love is the love that where you die for a friend. You're willing to die for someone. That's what men do. And now, granted, I hope that if it ever came down to a situation that I would be willing to sacrifice myself. But also in the same instance, you want people to want to sacrifice themselves for you. It's a whole long thing. That kind of love we should have for each other. But going back to the man thing, I don't think I've ever really seen a real man in my life. If I be honest, it has nothing to do with the way a man speaks, has nothing to do with the way a man walks. It has everything to do with a man's actions and the way he carries himself. And I think the same way a woman should have peace and this elegance, a man should also have that as well, in my opinion. I could be wrong. And, people will bash and judge and be quick to ridicule, but those people aren't for me anyway. Because I don't think I'm saying anything that is contradictory to the word. I don't think I am. I'm not saying a man should be wearing heels. I mean, back then they wore what they had. They knew the difference in between a man's cloth versus a woman's cloth based on what was being sold as such. But even then, if we look at them today, if we held the people back then to the standard of today, they were all how do you say it, effeminate. And so to me, you just gotta go to God. You gotta talk to Jesus in regards to who you are, and stop worrying so much about all of these other things. Like I don't really care, And I guess I'm bringing this up a little bit maybe because celebrating, but also it's something I noticed. I did a video. I actually did 2 videos, and by the grace of God, I'm really happy. Both of those videos, this is like I think, well, one video is almost to 1,000 views. It's on my gaming channel. And the other one is at 1.4K. So I'm very grateful. I'm very happy. But one of the comments under the videos was, you're so gay and so funny. And initially I ignored it. I said, what did I say? I don't know. I can't remember what I said. I didn't even comment back to the person. But after a while, I just sat there and, I took back the authority because honestly, I'm gonna be real. I don't know. I know the intention in which this person was using gay, but I don't know the origin of the word gay. But I do know that growing up, the first initial term or the meaning was to be happy, to be, I mean, ecstatic, glee, full of glee. And so I was just like, you know what I say carries more weight than what anyone has to say about me. So I ended up not ignoring that person. I actually liked their comment, and then I said thank you, and I just left it at that. I didn't go no deeper. And I was just like, you know what, Lord, allow me to know if me even responding is just agreeing to them, because I don't think so. I don't think so. There was nothing I said in the video that was even I think coming off in like exemplifying that I practice homosexuality or I practice any kind of sexuality. Literally, I'm single and I'm happy to be single, and I'm not looking at a girl or any guy. I'm not looking at nobody, and I'm happy about that. And that's my choice. We have to make these decisions. But people, the enemy is very crafty, but you have to be smarter. You have to realize that there's a lot of scriptures in the word that talks about a man who is foolish with his words, he will surely eat them. And so you have to be smart. You have to know what you say, and you have to really genuinely put a pretty bow on it. Like, you got to paint these pictures with your words. And so, yeah, I took the word and I framed it in the reality in which it is designed to be framed. Yes, I am happy. Yes, I am full of the love of God. Yes, I am full of joy. And some people may say you can't take back certain words. Well, listen, God knows the original intent of a word. And I know that I am surrendering and submitting myself under the love and the blood of Jesus. So there is no word that can penetrate my life. As now that I have begun to learn, when I was growing up, I shouldn't have let all of those people say whatever they wanted to say about me. It's not that I had to combat them, but it's the simple fact, when I get home and when I get in prayer, I need to realize, Lord, let not what they said about me come to pass, especially when it's wicked. Let not what that person professed or try to label me with become my identity, and let it not sink into my bloodstream or my DNA or even my thoughts or my heart. Let it not intervene with what you are doing in my life. I have become very aware, but I said, God, let the true intention, let what you have declared about my life become the driving force. Dear Lord, let every word that tries to exalt itself above you be cast down and be deemed unfit and thrown into the pit, the abyss. God, because at the end of the day, I agree with you. I don't agree with man. I don't agree with Satan, because we have to understand, yes, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but everybody is not possessed by demons and not doing this stuff because they're controlled by a demon. People are making these decisions, and I bring Jonah into this right quick because Jonah decided to disobey God. There was no mention of a demon making him do that, or any kind of spirit possessing him to do that. That was his decision. And so maybe there was a spirit involved, but he still decided. So even if Satan does tempt a person to say something or do something against you, the person will also be held accountable. So you have to be as gentle as a dove and as wise as a serpent. And so that's why, with that person, I think I handled it as gracefully as possible, and I took it to God. Immediately took it to God, because I'm much older now. I know much more now. I don't have to just let anybody say anything about me. And the same for people who are saying things in private, because regardless, sometimes there are people who speak about you in private. And that's the sad thing, you know. But some people don't want you to win. Some people don't want the good things of God to transpire in your life. Some people don't. But I believe there are a good amount of people that also do. They do want to see you get to the goodness, the fruitfulness of God, you know. And I think I would love to think I'm one of those people that wants to succeed and wants to see other people succeed. I just want people to do what God has called them to do and stop chasing after money. That's my humble prayer, honestly, because I get so aggravated. I do. I'm not gonna say I get sick, because I don't get sick. I'm healed. My body is performing and doing the things that God instructed it to do from the beginnings of time. Every entrail is operating in the manner in which it was created and crafted to. And Lord, I ask you to allow my body to operate everything from head to toe the way you designed it and what the purpose you designed it for. And so, you know, I take that. It's like after Nehemiah, because when Tobiah and Senna, I forget what the other man's name was, but when they said you're not gonna finish the wall, Nehemiah asked God for success. He asked God for success, but he also said, surely we will finish this. And so I do think that, you know, you have to be able to speak. You have to be able to encourage yourself. You have to be able to have the last word, because God is not a man that he should lie, you know. And so if I believe heavily in man should not live by bread alone, but every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of God. And I've said this before. I believe God is continually speaking. I do. I don't think it stopped when the Bible ended. God, the earth stands and the earth sits in position because God is still speaking. You are able to wake up because God is still speaking, right? The water still moves and flows, and everything operates the way it does is because God is still speaking. And so that is something to hold dear and true, to understand this is the creator of all things. I know I don't even have a point. I'm just talking really, but I had a dream a while back, and I think I told this dream before, but I'm gonna skip a lot of information. But there was a guy who was in a like a hospital bed, and this was in school, and you know, there was a clipboard with the words Elyon Reed, and I never knew Reed was in the Bible until, you know, after seeing that dream. It was like the word just kept popping out to me in verses. And so eventually I was looking into the names of God, and I think this was before I had the dream, like during the whole situation, and then even after. And it just came to me, the Lord over your weaknesses, over weaknesses. And because a reed is a very weak thing, it's a very weak stalk. I don't know. I can't remember visually what it looks like, but it looks like it's not like bamboo, but it's like, I don't know how to explain it, but a reed is a very weak thing. And in the dream, you know, I watched the sick guy go to a fully healthy guy, and a whole new person, which is very beautiful in itself. Like, God, when God gets in the middle of your thing, you will look like new and a whole different person. And that's really a good thing. You know, granted, if I remember my past, and if we can remember what we went through and the things we used to do, that's okay and dandy. But to be made new, to be washed and purified and made clean, like, I think that's the goal. But that's really only something that God can do. And you have to be willing to let him be the Lord over your weaknesses. Paul said, I delight in my weaknesses, because when I am weak, God is strong. You know, and Paul prayed 3 times for that a thorn to be taken away from him. And God said, no, my grace is sufficient. And so, you know, with a lot of these things, like even me tying that back into the video, and for whatever reason, the person being like, you're so gay and funny, you know, Lord, I ask, if that is a weakness or whatever it is, God, cover me. cover me, because Lord, I honestly don't think there's nothing wrong with my voice. I could sit here and call it feminine, but it's my voice. Why is my voice feminine just because you say it's feminine? Why is my mannerisms feminine just because you say they're feminine? I know what I want to do. I'm not trying to entice anybody. Like I'm not trying to entice no man. I'm not trying to entice no woman. Nothing I do is to sexually please anybody. So if people take what I have done and they contort it and they manipulate it and they try to turn it into something that is wicked, that is their heart posture. That has nothing to do with me. But as a child of God, everything that I do, I want to make sure that my good is not able to be turned into something wicked or even confused for something wicked, which is a hard thing. It's hard, because we cannot control how people react and respond and what they take and run with, because people's minds are very devious and very I don't know how to say that, but like, it takes God really being involved. It really does. But I mean, Elyon Reed, God being the Lord over our weaknesses, and that right there, so many dreams that I saw, even now, I know God is real, and I know God is good, and I know that even with all the troubles that we go through, God cares for us, and I'm really happy, I'm really happy. I just put another video up, and we're gonna let God do what God does, because you have to be okay. You gotta detach yourself from things and let God have his way. Let God prepare the way, and you be in agreement with it. You know what I'm saying? I've spent a lot of time off the internet, not really I'm not a social media person. Y'all, a lot of people live their life on social media because they don't have they I don't think they really have a purpose. People can have all the money in the world and still be bored and still be out of their purpose. And to me, I don't have to spend a lot of time on the internet trying to talk to people, trying to build a platform. The platform is already there. I get on it and get off of it whenever God says so. I've never been deprived of a platform. And even now, more so today, I'm like, okay, God, I want the platform. I want whatever you have for me. But I've never been deprived of it. I can look over my life and even in myself now and realize I am a leader. I am a leader. I was born a leader. I was born to some people don't understand this, but there is hierarchy. I was born to be a king, right? And so I know everybody wants to be called a king and wants to be a queen, but God appoints and anoints who he wants for certain positions and in spaces and places. There will be someone over me. There may be someone under me, but even then, God will get the glory, because it is God who gives man all access to these things, not ourselves. And I think that's where the issue comes in. We think that we have done these things for ourselves. As a believer, as a child, I understand my agreement, my collaboration in the project and in the obedience, but nothing I do, I could have done on my own. And even more so now with what I'm going through and what is transpiring, it is becoming more easy to see that. It's just easy. I understand, but there's also the understanding. I prayed for this, and this is a part of what God allowed me to prophesy probably about 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, because I even when I some things can't be explained, but I know for a fact that God is going to be the one to get the glory out of my life. And God is going to be the reason why I get where I am going. God is going to be the reason why I'm able to write books, and I'm able to tell my poems, and I'm able to, lead kids and students and people into their talent, skills, and abilities in order to serve God, and not be afraid of what they have because of people's words, people's things and stuff of that nature. But, you got to give your worship to God. You got to give your worship to God. You got to do it because God said so, and there's so much more. Like, I do genuinely believe I will be one of the greatest singers, one of the greatest voices of all time. And why, how can I say that? You know, because it's just something that I've always felt, you know, and even when I didn't feel it, God was allowing me to feel this super I've always been, I wouldn't say studied, but the center of attention. You know, I've always been that. And so there's a lot of ways that I have been prepared to be the center of attention, to have eyes on me. But then I've also had this moment now where nobody notices me. And that's okay too, because I think even more understand I'm not doing it for you. I was never doing it for y'all. Even growing up, I can remember when people was like, you don't need to do that. You don't need to do that. I ignored them. And I thank God for having such a supernatural confidence, because I grew up around, and I mean, there are a lot of insecure people. I mean, insecurity is, to me, it feels like a sin. I don't think it's a normal thing to be insecure. I think that comes in when you're comparing yourself to people, or you're envious and you're jealous of people. But I don't compare myself to people. I don't understand I've never really had a grasp on why would people would want to do that. Especially because, and I guess this is a gift and a blessing of it in itself. When you, even if you don't realize, you are made in the image of God, and there was a portion of God that he said, I wanted to be in the earth. Now, I don't know if that's biblical, but that's just something that I believe God revealed to me. There was something in God that he said, I want to put in this corner of the earth. So I'm going to bring him or her there. And hopefully they agree to the mission, to the assignment. And so someone can see a portion of my goodness and my love, and that's the thing. Like, that's all I want to do with my YouTube, my songs. I just sent. This opens up another conversation. I'm so good at having conversations, girl. Maybe I could be a little bit better, but I just know how to flow. Period. But I just sent someone a song that I did a year ago, because I realized, well, maybe I never really shared. Actually, that's not true. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I think I make excuses for people a lot of times because I don't want to look at people in the wrong way. But more so this season, I just cut that out. I'm done with people that don't support me. I'm not going to make a big fuss about it. It just is what it is. May God handle this. I'm not going to say may God bless them. May God handle the situation the way it needs to be handled. People who poorly mishandled me, may the Lord deal with that accordingly. The same way he did with Jonah. Because too much information is getting back to me. Too many dreams are coming back to me for me to ignore them. And I mean, yeah, may the Lord have his way, and may we all go through the fire and be purified, and may chastisement take place in all of our lives, from me to the people who had a I guess a responsibility to me, vice versa, whatever, But I sent an old friend a song that I did a year ago, and I don't know why I did, but she always sends me videos, and I just felt the need in my spirit to send her the song, and she listened to it, and the song is poorly produced, but you know what? I sent it to her because I wanted someone to be proud of me, someone that I knew, not strangers. A lot of strangers really compliment me when they hear me singing, when they hear a lot of stuff I do. I always get compliments from strangers, but my spirit needed to feel love from someone that I've known for a while. And I think that is why I sent it to her. And though, the constructive criticism I love, I've always been open to constructive and honest responses. And so I respect her for being like, I could barely hear it. I wish I could, but she was just like, the beats are more louder than you. And so, hopefully in the future, well, in the how you say it, the near future, God sends someone who can help me, because there's I do think that I make decent music. I think I've listened to songs and some snippets of songs that I have tried to make, and my choruses are bomb. I can come up with a hook so good. And I just don't know why Satan has fought so hard to keep me, from, but also, just like with Joseph said to his brothers, what you meant for evil, God made work for my good. And so regardless, no matter what happened, God is gonna get the glory out of it. But I mean, it felt good for her to be like, no matter what, no matter if it sounds bad or what, or if it's poor, you made it, you did it. And sometimes that just feels good to hear. That's that kind of honor and celebration that I'm talking about. It's honest and it's real. It might be poor, it might not be all of that, but you did it. And I'm just thankful. I wanted to spend a lot of this podcast just really sitting in the seat of gratitude. One, from thanking the Lord because the YouTube videos hit over 1,000 views on my gaming channel. Well, one, and then the other one's gonna hit soon. And then, just looking over my life, and like I said in a song, and I know that I surely don't die here. Matter of fact, I find life here. But like I said in a song, if I die today, I'm satisfied. When they say I'm bitter, just know that they lied. And so I think I have done a lot. I don't think I've done everything that God wants me to do, but I have done a lot. I have done a lot, I mean, trying to do it boldly, and now I'm trying to sit in the seat of quick obedience. I don't want to be delayed anymore. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to wait. So that's something that I'm working on, being swift to act. Whenever I hear something or feel something in my spirit, just act on it quickly, and let God do what God is going to do, especially if it's something that I know that is not opposing the word of God or the will of God. Act on it real quickly. Don't wait. I can't remember what video I saw, but procrastination is basically arrogance, thinking that you'll have another moment to do what you could do right now. And I don't want that. I don't want delayed obedience or even whatever. I don't want that no more. Every time I feel something, I want to just do it. I want to put it out there, and I want to move on to the next portion of my life, because I never know how much I miss out on or what God wants to do, and I'm just sitting there like, I'll get to it, or I don't have this and I don't have that. Forget all about that. Forget all about that. I thank God, that yes, I am resourceful, but I do also know that there's a moment coming very soon that I won't have to be resourceful. The resources will be coming in, but I won't have to make little into much. There will be much that I can do a lot more with. And so that right there, I'm just happy to know and happy to be able to speak over my life. It's very important to be able to speak over your life. And yes, I know that, yes, right now I have to be resourceful, and I thank God that I am resourceful, but soon and very soon I will have many resources, and I will be able to do much more. Because let's just be honest. Let's just be honest. When you have the finances, when you have the connections, when you have, first and foremost, God, when you have all of these things coming in like a flood, it's easy to get things done. It's easy to get things done, but it's also easy to forget God. And that's why it's very important, to be like the man, I think in Proverbs or Psalms, that was like, Lord, give me what I need. So give me enough to live a good life, Lord, so that I am not in lack. But Lord, don't give me so much that I forget about you. And that's why I think it's also important when Jesus gave us the Lord's Prayer, give us this day our daily bread. Give us this day our daily bread, God. God knows exactly what we need when we need it. And I think it's important to pray in advance, Lord, down the road for every engagement, every occasion. Dear Lord, let the provision be there and be ready. Dear Lord, let any person who is in this procrastination spirit be removed and put someone in place that has the understanding of urgency and the stature of this assignment and this situation. I begin to understand prayer. I mean, I'm being so serious and I value it. Though yet I believe some of the bigger prayers that I have prayed, I have yet to really see the fruit of. But the smaller ones, I began to enjoy. And I can only imagine, seeing the greater things that I prayed for, because even though it's greater to me, it's nothing to God. It's simple. And no matter the request, all of it is simple to God. All of it is so simple. And, I'm just glad that I serve a God that can do anything, right? I don't think, now granted, there may be moments like Job where I was questioning God and, having that moment. But even then, God came and showed himself. Job said, I had heard of you, but now I see you. And that moment right there, that is one of my favorite Bible moments, because there's a lot of people, and especially people now, that don't have a lot of faith. Maybe they had a moment where they wanted something and it didn't come to pass or whatever. I don't know. They're cynical. I don't know. I'm not God. I can't see these people's hearts and why they're going through what they're going through. But, it's essential that we see God. It's important that we have a one-on-one moment with God, where it's like, okay, God, I can't see you with my physical eye. And your word said, blessed are they that have not seen, but yet they believe. So God, I'm already steps ahead for even wanting to pray, wanting to do these things, God. But Lord, show me something. God, strengthen my relationship with you, Lord. Like when Jesus came, Jesus did all of those miracles to get people to want to change, to get them to see a different way of life. But people wanted the goodness and they still wanted their wickedness. But that's not, I don't want that for me, and I don't want that for anyone who might be listening to me. I believe in this lifetime, God wants to provide and actually take care of every single living person. I believe that. And one thing about it is, I can't control what people do. I can't control whether people pray or don't. I'm happy that I was introduced to real prayer, through a real moment. Because I was told about prayer, but no one effectively led me into it and helped me to understand why it's so important to pray. And I mean, I don't blame anyone, but it's just something that I realize, and it's something that I want to take with me, that if I'm ever with or under or, leading or guiding someone, I want us to be prayerful. Full of prayer, full consistently praying without ceasing. That's what I want to be a thing, abundant in our engagement, in our relationship, in the interaction. It's important to me. And even now, I wonder, like, should well, you know what? My approach is my approach. I may not have to pray before I like praying in the morning, and sometimes I do pray before I do certain things. And honestly, I think in all your ways you should acknowledge God so that he will lighten your path and he will, guide you. Honestly. And so I definitely don't see anything wrong with praying before everything you do. You never know that the doors that can open because of your prayers, or the traps that you can close and disturb and interrupt because of your prayers. So I don't know, but it's not something that I do, and I don't. It's like a real relationship with God, you know. I never want to go too long, but I never want to. I don't know. It's a hard thing to say because you have to live like Nehemiah. Nehemiah didn't stop building the wall. You know what I'm saying? But they didn't stop praying either. They didn't stop trusting God, but they didn't stop building the wall. So in your day to day, you have to build the wall, and you also then have to find time for God. And it's kind of crazy to say that, but you do. I mean, if we did not build the wall, then we wouldn't have. It's like the participation in building the wall is your collaboration and obedience with God to produce what God has said, right? So even as you're doing that, I can't forget there. I can't remember, but there is a story in the Bible that is like, I might be wrong, so forgive me, but why are you praying when I already told you what to do? I actually might need to look that up while I'm talking, but that to me is this kind of like, it's so important. If God already gave you the instructions, why are you coming back regarding the same situation? And then when he keeps reminding you what he said, or what the instruction is, it's like, are you willing to hear it? And so, that for me is very important. It's like, I'm gonna spend time in God, and I'm gonna do it not just when I want to, but also, yes, when I want to, but when God calls me. Because sometimes God will call you, but oftentimes you gotta want to go to God. You gotta want to. You gotta want it. You gotta want it. It doesn't. It's not a beneficial, or it's not a healthy relationship when you need something. Yes, we need God, but do you want God? That's a more powerful thing. That's a more powerful desire when you want something. Of course we need God. God know that. God ain't stupid. But do you want him? Do you want God? And so, I do. I want the breath of God to move through and all over every project, every assignment, every endeavor I partake of. The same with people who may be listening. Lord, may the Lord watch over us, and guide us and lead us and correct us, chastise us, protect us. God corrects the one he loves. And so, I don't know, I'm just grateful. I'm grateful because this is only the beginning. This is not the way to make ends meet. This is not the end for me. Surely my podcast and my two YouTube channels and my poems and songs will become a livelihood for me. And Lord, I ask that you allow those to become a livelihood for me. Allow me to be able to use my gifts, skills, talents, and abilities, blessings, in order to live, in order to finance ideas and organizations and the kingdom and my life and everything pertaining to goodness, everything pertaining to you and me, God. And so I guess I'm kind of done. It's been a 50-minute video. I don't even know what the point of this episode was. Maybe I was just to encourage somebody. Love yourself. Love yourself. I think it's just essential. Go to God regarding everything. Don't live in fear. Don't live anxious. Be anxious for nothing. Ask for everything you need. Be thankful for what you have. Show some gratitude. But yet realize when you're in good, worship, and when you're in trouble, pray. And so I guess that's all for now. Remember to stay positive. Keep that with you. Spread it wherever you go. My name is Stefan. If you didn't know. With all that being said, love yourselves and love others. I am out of here. Bye.